Have you truly felt it? It is not a sudden, dramatic event, but rather a quiet, insidious creep of change that you might easily dismiss as the simple, unavoidable toll of another birthday passing by, another candle added to the cake. Perhaps you remain a dedicated coffee drinker, a connoisseur of the morning ritual, greeting each dawn with that familiar, dark, and comforting brew. You cling to this constant, a cornerstone of your daily routine for decades, yet something is undeniably different. Despite this faithful habit, the staircase in your own home seems to have mysteriously grown taller overnight, each step an ascent requiring more conscious effort than it did last year. The short, pleasant walk to the mailbox at the end of the driveway now feels a little longer, a journey that leaves you just a bit more winded than you care to admit. Most disconcertingly, your own legs, the very pillars that have carried you through a lifetime of experiences, do not quite feel like they belong to you anymore. They feel heavy, unresponsive, and vaguely unfamiliar. You might naturally blame it on age, shrugging your shoulders and accepting this creeping weakness as a non-negotiable part of the senior years. Or perhaps, being proactive, you have tried to fight back, diligently increasing your protein intake, adding more chicken, fish, and eggs to your diet, only to be met with frustratingly, almost insultingly, little change in your strength or energy. But what if the genuine reason for this pervasive decline, this slow-motion theft of your physical power, has been fundamentally misunderstood and therefore tragically overlooked? What if the master key to not just halting but actively reversing this decline, to reigniting the vibrant strength and boundless vitality you had reluctantly concluded were gone for good, was already sitting on your kitchen counter, patiently waiting inside your coffee maker for the simple, transformative addition of one single ingredient? Imagine for a moment the possibility of turning your daily cup of coffee, already a source of comfort and alertness, into a profoundly powerful metabolic tool, a secret and potent weapon against the debilitating process of age-related muscle loss, a condition scientists call sarcopenia. This is not a proposition that involves expensive, complicated, and often ineffective supplements with dubious claims, nor does it demand grueling, high-risk hours at the gym that could lead to injury. This is about a single, naturally occurring and rigorously science-backed compound that can fundamentally alter the biological conversation your body is having about aging. If you are a person over the age of 65, a person who is fiercely determined to remain strong, independent, engaged, and vibrantly active without surrendering to a life managed by a cabinet full of prescriptions, then you must lean in closer and listen carefully. This is not just another disposable health tip to be scanned and forgotten. For a great many individuals, this could be the single most transformative and empowering piece of information they receive this entire year, a pivotal discovery that starkly separates a future defined by encroaching frailty from one of enduring, resilient, and life-affirming strength. The real thief of your strength, and it's not just age. Most people, including many well-meaning doctors, resign themselves and their patients to the pervasive idea that losing muscle mass and strength after the age of 65 is an unavoidable, linear part of the aging process, a simple biological tax levied on a long and well-lived life. While it is certainly true that a gradual natural decline in peak physical capacity occurs over the decades, the real culprit behind the rapid, life-altering loss of strength, stability, and independence that so many seniors tragically experience is a far more insidious and specific physiological condition: anabolic resistance. To truly grasp this concept, you must think of your muscles not as static blocks of tissue, but as a dynamic and living house that is in a constant state of renovation and repair every single day. When you are young and in your prime, your body is a master construction foreman. Every time you consume protein from a meal, your body efficiently and immediately dispatches a full, highly coordinated crew of construction workers. These are the amino acids, the enzymes, and the signaling hormones to the job site of your muscle tissue. They arrive promptly, read the blueprints perfectly, and get to work patching up any microscopic wear and tear from daily activity, reinforcing the structural walls of the muscle fibers, and even building brand new additions to make the house bigger and stronger. This process, known as muscle protein synthesis, is executed with remarkable speed and efficiency. However, as you cross the threshold of 60 and beyond, a critical change occurs within this elegant system. The foreman of this vital construction crew, which is your body's intricate cellular signaling system, effectively becomes hard of hearing. The signal to begin the repairs and renovations, a signal normally triggered with great clarity by the presence of dietary protein and the stimulus of physical exercise, is still being sent, but it is no longer being received clearly or with any sense of urgency. The construction workers, the amino acids, still show up on your plate and enter your bloodstream, but they are met with confusion and disorganization at the muscle cell level. The work orders get lost, the chain of command is broken, and the entire repair process slows to a frustrating crawl, becoming profoundly inefficient. Over time, the inevitable consequence is that the house, your precious, life-sustaining muscle tissue, begins to crumble and break down from daily use much faster than it can be rebuilt. This, in a detailed nutshell, is the true nature of anabolic resistance. Your muscle cells, the very foundation of your physical being, become progressively and stubbornly less responsive to the very anabolic or building signals that are meant to preserve and strengthen them. This is precisely the reason why you can be commendably diligent, eating a healthy diet rich in high-quality protein and even engaging in regular walks or light exercise, yet still find yourself inexplicably getting weaker month by month. The root of the problem is not a lack of building materials. It is not a nutrition problem at its core. It is, most critically, a communication problem, a signaling failure within the deepest machinery of your cells. The hidden power in your morning coffee. If the devastating process of anabolic resistance is fundamentally a signaling problem, a failure of communication between your diet and your muscles, then the most logical and effective solution is not simply to shout louder at the deaf foreman by consuming mountains of protein. Flooding the system with more raw materials does little good if the instructions to use them are never received. The true solution lies in finding a way to restore the integrity of the signal itself, to amplify the message so that it cuts through the static of aging and is heard loud and clear. This is precisely where a truly remarkable and unique nutrient enters the scene: the essential amino acid known as leucine. Leucine is one of the 9 essential amino acids that your body cannot produce on its own and must obtain from your diet, but it is far from ordinary. Among its peers, leucine stands alone as the master switch, the primary and most potent trigger that activates the body's principal muscle-building pathway, a critical signaling cascade known by scientists as mTOR, the mammalian target of rapamycin. To understand its unique power, think of trying to start a large campfire. Your total protein intake from your meals is the substantial pile of dry wood. You can have an enormous towering pile, but without a powerful spark, it will never ignite into a roaring fire. Leucine is that essential, indispensable spark. When you consume a sufficient and concentrated dose of leucine at one specific time, it acts like flipping a master circuit breaker, turning the mTOR switch in your muscle cells to the on position. This action sends an unambiguous, powerful, and immediate command directly to your cellular machinery. Start growing, start repairing, start rebuilding now. This crucial biological fact brings us directly to your cherished morning coffee ritual and why it represents a golden opportunity. When you first wake up in the morning, your body is in a unique metabolic state. You are in a fasted condition from the overnight period, which means your blood sugar and, more importantly, your insulin levels are at their lowest point of the day. This low insulin environment makes your muscle cells incredibly receptive and sensitive to certain incoming signals. Your morning cup of coffee then enhances this primed state. The caffeine does more than just wake up your brain. It stimulates your central nervous system, it promotes increased blood flow through vasodilation, and it provides your overall metabolism with a gentle but significant boost. This combination of a fasted state and caffeine stimulation creates the perfect, unimpeded delivery system. When you introduce a pure, isolated dose of leucine into this highly specific environment, it is absorbed with incredible rapidity and delivered directly to your primed muscle tissues without any metabolic interference or competition. In stark contrast, taking that same dose of leucine with a typical high-carbohydrate breakfast, such as toast, oatmeal, or sweetened cereal, would trigger a significant spike in the hormone insulin. Insulin, while anabolic, is indiscriminate and would scramble and dilute the specific muscle-building signal from leucine, creating a kind of signal noise. But with black coffee, the message is clear, direct, powerful, and incredibly effective. Build muscle now. This simple, strategic combination transforms your comforting morning habit into a targeted, muscle-preserving, and strength-rebuilding powerhouse. Your blueprint for rebuilding muscle. The leucine protocol. Now that you have a firm understanding of the powerful science behind anabolic resistance, mTOR activation, and the strategic use of your morning coffee, let's translate this knowledge into a practical, actionable blueprint. To effectively combat the muscle-wasting effects of aging and turn your daily coffee into a formidable tool for rebuilding your strength, you need to be precise and intentional. The specific form of the nutrient, the exact dosage, and the critical timing of its consumption are all crucial components for achieving success and experiencing a tangible difference in how you feel and function. Firstly, the form of leucine you choose to use is of paramount importance. For this specific purpose, you are looking for pure, free-form L-leucine powder. It is absolutely critical that you avoid blended amino acid supplements like BCAAs, branch-chain amino acids, or general-purpose whey protein powders for this particular morning protocol. While it is true that those products do contain some leucine, they also contain other competing amino acids, such as isoleucine and valine in the case of BCAAs, or a full spectrum of amino acids in the case of whey protein. These other amino acids compete for the same transport mechanisms in your gut and entry points into your cells, effectively diluting the potency of the leucine-specific signal and dampening its effect on the mTOR pathway. To overcome the significant hurdle of anabolic resistance in older adults, you need a quick, isolated, potent, and unadulterated dose of the primary signaling molecule itself. Therefore, you must seek out a high-quality, pharmaceutical-grade, unflavored L-leucine powder that contains no unnecessary fillers, artificial sweeteners, or other additives that could potentially interfere with its rapid absorption and signaling clarity. Secondly, the dosage is a non-negotiable element of this protocol. An extensive body of scientific research, specifically conducted on older adult populations, points to the existence of a leucine threshold. This is the minimum amount of leucine required in a single serving to reliably and robustly activate the mTOR pathway and stimulate muscle protein synthesis in an anabolically resistant state. The consensus from these studies places this threshold at approximately 2.5 to 3 grams per serving. You can think of it like trying to open a heavy, rusty garage door. When you were younger, a gentle, casual push was all that was needed to set it in motion. Now, due to the rust of aging and disuse, you need a firm, intentional, and powerful shove to get it moving. That 3-gram dose of leucine is the firm metabolic shove that your slumbering muscle cells require to wake up and get back to work. Finally, the timing of this intervention is what makes all the difference and maximizes its efficacy. The ideal window for consuming your leucine-infused coffee is within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking up. This is the period when your body is naturally at its most insulin sensitive after the overnight fast, and your cells are optimally primed for nutrient absorption. The protocol itself is remarkably simple. Just brew your regular cup of coffee as you normally would, preferably black, or with only a small splash of unsweetened nut milk or a non-caloric creamer to avoid an insulin response. While the coffee is still hot, simply stir in your precisely measured 3-gram scoop of the L-leucine powder. It will dissolve easily into the hot liquid and is virtually tasteless, with only a very slight bitterness that is completely masked by the flavor of the coffee. By adhering to this simple, elegant protocol with unwavering consistency each morning, most individuals begin to feel a noticeable and encouraging difference in their daily energy levels, their sense of stability and balance, their ability to perform physical tasks, and their overall subjective feeling of strength within just a couple of profound weeks. More than muscle, the fountain of metabolic youth. Rebuilding your physical strength and reclaiming your independence is a life-changing and deeply rewarding goal in and of itself. But the cascading benefits of adopting this simple morning habit extend far, far beyond what you might see in the mirror or feel when you climb a flight of stairs. The act of preserving and actively building lean muscle tissue is arguably one of the most powerful and fundamental things you can do for your overall health, your metabolic function, and your long-term longevity, because muscle is not merely for movement. It is your body's primary metabolic engine and a crucial endocrine organ. Even when you are sitting completely still, resting in a chair, your muscle tissue burns a significantly greater number of calories than an equivalent amount of fat tissue. Consequently, as you progressively lose muscle mass through the process of sarcopenia, your resting metabolic rate, the rate at which your body burns energy to sustain its basic functions, inevitably slows down. This metabolic slowdown is a primary reason why it becomes so easy to gain stubborn body fat, particularly around the midsection, even if you have not made any significant changes to your diet or caloric intake. Furthermore, and perhaps even more critically for healthy aging, your muscles serve as the body's primary storage site for glucose, the sugar derived from the carbohydrates you eat. Healthy muscles act like a massive, highly absorbent sponge, eagerly soaking up excess sugar from your bloodstream after a meal and storing it as glycogen for future energy needs, thereby keeping your blood sugar levels stable and healthy. When this metabolic sponge shrinks due to age-related muscle loss, that ingested sugar has nowhere to go. It becomes trapped in your bloodstream, leading to chronically elevated blood sugar and, in response, chronically high levels of the hormone insulin. This state is a direct and well-documented path towards developing systemic insulin resistance, dangerous visceral belly fat, persistent brain fog, and a dramatically increased risk for developing type 2 diabetes. By strategically rebuilding your muscle mass with your daily leucine-infused coffee, you are effectively building a bigger, better, and more efficient glucose sponge, which profoundly improves your body's ability to manage blood sugar, reduce insulin levels, and switch to burning stored fat for fuel. This single, powerful habit supports better hormonal balance, protects your vulnerable joints by providing a stronger and more dynamic support system, and has even been scientifically linked to superior cognitive function and a lower risk of neurodegenerative diseases like dementia. This is because active muscle tissue releases beneficial compounds called myokines, which travel throughout the body, reducing inflammation and even promoting the health and growth of new brain cells. Muscle is not just for locomotion, it is truly an organ of longevity, and diligently nurturing it is your master key to unlocking a more vibrant, resilient, and independent future.